My fiancé said, I want to pause the engagement. I need time to think if you're really the right choice. I said, take all the time you want. He thought he was the one ending things. But the moment he opened his apartment door that evening, he realized something had already ended hours before he made his decision. I'm Tiffany, 34, and 3 days ago, my fiancé of 8 months tried to put our relationship on pause to figure things out. What he didn't know was that I'd already figured things out that morning when I discovered text messages that revealed exactly what he'd been doing while claiming to need space. Ethan and I had been together for 3 years before he proposed. We met through work, both of us in marketing, different companies, crossing paths at industry events. He was smart, ambitious, with this confidence that drew people to him. I fell hard. We moved in together after a year, got engaged last spring, set a wedding date for next October. Everything seemed perfect. About 2 months ago, things started feeling different. Ethan became distant, distracted. He'd be on his phone constantly, angling it away when I walked by. He started working late more often, going to more networking events that somehow always ran until midnight. When I asked about his day, he'd give vague answers and change the subject. Last Thursday morning, Ethan left for work before me. He'd been in such a rush that he forgot his iPad on the kitchen counter. He usually took it everywhere. I wasn't snooping initially. I just picked it up to put it somewhere safe, and the screen lit up, showing his messages. His iMessage was synced across devices, and there was a conversation with someone named Alexis K at the top. The preview read, "Last night was exactly what I needed. Thank you for understanding me in ways she never could." My stomach dropped. I opened the thread, scrolled up, read everything. 3 months of messages. Ethan and Alexis, someone he'd met at a conference, had been talking constantly. Flirting at first, then emotional confiding, then explicit discussions of feelings. I think I'm falling for you. You make me question everything about my relationship. When I'm with you, I feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. They'd met up multiple times. Coffee turned into dinner, dinner into late-night drinks. He told me those nights were work events or guys' nights with his friend Sophie. The most recent messages were from the night before Wednesday. Ethan had told me he was having dinner with Sophie. Instead, he'd been with Alexis. The messages after showed them saying goodnight around 11 p.m., discussing when they could see each other next. Ethan saying he needed to figure out his situation with Tiffany. I sat at the kitchen table for probably 20 minutes, just staring at his iPad. Then I took photos of everything with my phone, every message, every lie, every time he'd chosen her while pretending to choose me. I didn't confront him that morning. He came back around 8:30 a.m. He'd left something in his car and found me at the table drinking coffee. "You okay?" he asked. "You look upset." "I'm fine," I said, "just tired." He grabbed what he needed and left again. Kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. I called my brother James and told him everything. He said, "You need to end this today. Don't give him the chance to spin this." But I had a different idea. I spent Thursday preparing. I called the wedding venue and the caterer. Both were flexible about postponements and would refund most deposits if we canceled within 6 months of the date. I called my parents and Ethan's parents, asked if they could come by that evening. I didn't explain why. I packed a bag with my essentials and took it to James's place. Removed my name from our shared streaming accounts and utilities where possible. Updated passwords on everything we'd shared access to. By Thursday evening, I was ready. Ethan came home around 6 p.m. I was on the couch reading. He seemed nervous. "Hey, can we talk?" he said. "Sure, what's up?" He sat across from me, not next to me. "I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. About us, about the wedding, about everything. I love you, Tiffany. I do. But I've been feeling really uncertain. Like maybe we rushed into the engagement. Like maybe I need to be sure you're really the right choice." "What are you saying?" "I want to pause the engagement, not break up. Just take a step back. Give me some time to think clearly without the pressure of wedding planning." I looked at him carefully. He seemed nervous, but also a little relieved, like he'd been carrying this for a while. "How much time do you need?" "I don't know. A few weeks? Maybe a month. I just need space to figure out what I really want." "Space to figure out what you want?" I said quietly. "Or space to figure out if you want to be with Alexis?" His face went completely white. "What?" "Alexis K. The woman you've been talking to for 3 months. The woman you were with last night when you told me you were having dinner with Sophie. The woman you've been telling that I don't understand you and that she makes you feel alive." Tiffany, I don't know what your... I saw your messages, I said. All of them. Thursday morning, when you forgot your iPad. He stood up quickly and started pacing. You went through my private messages? You left your iPad unlocked on the counter. The messages were right there. But let's not pretend this is about me invading your privacy. This is about you having an emotional affair. Maybe a physical one, too, while planning a wedding with me. It's not what you think. Then explain it to me. Explain why you've been meeting someone behind my back. Explain why you told her you're falling for her. Explain why you've been lying to me for months. He sat back down, tears starting to form. I didn't mean for it to happen. Alexis and I connected at that conference and we just started talking. It felt good to have someone really listen to me. You've been so focused on work lately. I felt lonely, and she was there. So you had an affair. We didn't sleep together. Emotional affairs are still affairs, Ethan. You've been building a relationship with someone else while engaged to me. You've been lying constantly. You've been choosing her over me while wearing my ring. I was confused. You weren't confused, I said. You were having your cake and eating it too. You wanted the security of me and the excitement of her. And tonight, you were going to ask for a pause so you could test drive the Alexis option without fully committing to leaving me. He was fully crying now. That's not fair. What's not fair is you lying to me for 3 months. What's not fair is you making me plan a wedding while telling someone else you might be falling for her. What are you saying? I'm saying we're done. The engagement is over. I've already contacted the venue and the caterer about cancellation. I've moved my things to my brother's place. I called both sets of parents earlier. They're on their way here now. They should be here in about 10 minutes. You called our parents? I did, I said, because I'm not letting you control the narrative. I'm not letting you tell everyone we mutually decided to take a break. He looked panicked. Tiffany, please, can we just talk about this privately? You involved our families when you agreed to marry me while pursuing someone else. They deserve to know why this wedding isn't happening. The doorbell rang. I stood up and went to the door. Both sets of parents had apparently arrived at the same time and were standing together, looking confused. Thanks for coming, I said. Please come in. Ethan and I need to talk to you about something. The conversation with our parents was brutal. Ethan's mom kept asking what was happening, why I'd called this emergency meeting. Ethan was crying, asking if we could talk privately first. I didn't give him the chance. I pulled out my phone. Ethan's been having an affair, I said simply, for the past 3 months, with someone he met at a conference. I found out yesterday when I saw messages on his iPad. I'm ending the engagement. Ethan's dad looked stunned. An affair? Ethan? Is this true? It's not an affair, Ethan started. We didn't... Show them, I said. Tiffany, please. I held up my phone and showed screenshots of the messages. I handed it to my mom first. She read silently, then passed it to Ethan's parents. Watching their faces change as they read was painful, but necessary. You told this woman you were falling for her, Ethan's mom said quietly. While engaged to Tiffany? I was confused, Mom. I didn't know how I felt. You knew enough to lie about where you were going, I said. You knew enough to tell me you were with Sophie when you were actually with her. You knew enough to plan meetups and tell her she understood you better than I did. My dad, who had been quiet until then, finally spoke. Tiffany, what do you need from us? Support, I said, and witnesses to the truth. Ethan had been about to ask me for a pause on the engagement. His plan was obvious now. Test things with Alexis while keeping me as a backup if it didn't work out. I wanted to make sure everyone knew what actually happened. Ethan was sobbing. His mother looked devastated. His father looked angry. My parents just looked sad. Ethan's dad stood up. Ethan, get your things. You're staying with us tonight. Dad! No, he said firmly. You've made your choices. Now you deal with the consequences. They left shortly after. Ethan was crying. His mother glanced back at me with apologetic eyes, and his father was rigid with anger. My parents stayed for a while. My mom hugged me tightly. My dad asked if I needed anything. I just need time, I said. I stayed in the apartment that night. Technically, it was both of ours, both names on the lease, but Ethan had gone with his parents. I sat on the couch until about 2 a.m, thinking about the past 3 years. How much of it had been real? Had he always been capable of this, or had something changed? Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Tiffany, I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. Can we please talk tomorrow? I didn't respond. Friday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Ethan and a voicemail. I listened to it once. He was crying, saying he'd made a terrible mistake, that he wanted to work things out, that Alexis meant nothing compared to what we had. I deleted it. I took the day off work and spent most of it handling logistics. I finalized vendor cancellations and started figuring out the apartment situation. Ethan and I had 6 months left on the lease. I told the landlord what happened. He was surprisingly understanding and said he'd work with us on breaking the lease early. Ethan's friend Sophie called me around noon. "Tiffany, I need to tell you something. I didn't know Ethan was seeing someone else. He told me he was going through stuff with you and needed space sometimes, but I had no idea he was meeting another woman. I would have told you if I'd known." "I believe you," I said. "Thanks for telling me." "For what it's worth," she added, "you deserve way better than what he did to you." Ethan showed up at the apartment around 3 p.m. I'd expected it. I stayed calm, opened the door, and let him in. "Thank you for seeing me," he said. "I'm not seeing you," I replied. "I'm letting you get your things." "Can we just talk for 5 minutes, please?" I glanced at my watch. "You have 5 minutes. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But what we have is real. What I feel for you is real. Alexis was just a distraction when I was feeling disconnected from us. It didn't mean anything. It meant enough for you to lie to me for 3 months." I was confused. "Stop saying you were confused," I said. "You made choices. Every text was a choice. Every meetup was a choice. Every lie was a choice. You wanted both of us and thought you could have it." "I'm choosing you now." "You don't get to choose me after I caught you," I said. "That's not how this works. You had 3 months to choose me. You chose her, over and over again." "That's not true." "Your 5 minutes are up. Get your stuff and go." He tried to argue for another 10 minutes. I didn't engage. I just started packing his things into bags. Eventually, he realized I was serious and started helping. We packed in silence. When he had 3 bags ready, he looked at me one last time. "I really do love you," he said. "If that's what your love looks like," I replied, "I don't want it." He left. I changed the locks that evening. Over the next week, I heard through mutual friends about Ethan's version of events. He was telling people we'd been growing apart and that the breakup was mutual and complicated. When people asked about the wedding cancellation, he'd say, "We realized we weren't ready." I didn't correct anyone publicly, but when friends asked me directly what happened, I told them the truth. Word spread quickly after that. Ethan tried to reach out a few more times over the next 2 weeks. Texts I didn't respond to. One handwritten letter delivered to James's place that I threw away without reading. One attempt to show up at my office that my assistant shut down. James told me I should block him entirely. "You're leaving the door open by keeping communication possible." He was right. I blocked Ethan's number, his email, his social media, complete cutoff. About 3 weeks after everything exploded, I got a message from Alexis. She'd somehow found me on LinkedIn. I wanted to apologize. Ethan told me he was single. I had no idea he was engaged. I wouldn't have pursued anything if I'd known. I'm sorry for my part in hurting you. I appreciated the message, but I also knew Ethan well enough to doubt his story. I replied, "He told you he was single? You never saw the engagement ring he wore every day? Never wondered why all your meetups were secretive and he couldn't post photos of you anywhere?" She didn't respond. The apartment lease was broken with only 1 month's penalty. The landlord really was understanding. I found a new place closer to work, smaller and cheaper, without memories in every room. My mom asked if I was doing okay emotionally. The honest answer was complicated. I was angry, hurt, but also relieved. If I hadn't found those messages, I might have married him. I might have spent years with someone capable of lying to my face every single day. It's been 3 months since Ethan asked to pause the engagement. 3 months since I ended it instead. I'm doing well, better than I expected. I heard through the grapevine that Ethan and Alexis didn't work out. Once the secrecy was gone and the excitement faded, they realized they didn't have much in common. They lasted about 6 weeks before she ended it. Ethan tried to reach out one more time about a month ago. He created a new email address to get around my blocks. A long message about therapy, commitment fears, and wanting a chance to explain everything in person. I didn't respond. James asked me if I ever felt tempted to hear him out. The honest answer was no. What would be the point? He only wanted to fix things after getting caught and losing both me and her. That's not someone who wants me. That's someone who doesn't want to be alone. I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. I'm more careful now about red flags. Distance, secretiveness, sudden changes in behavior. But I'm not cynical. What Ethan did was about his character, not about relationships in general. The wedding venue ended up refunding most of our deposit since we canceled so far in advance. The caterer kept their deposit, but I didn't fight it. A small price to pay for avoiding a marriage that would have ended in divorce anyway. I ran into Ethan's mom at a coffee shop 2 weeks ago. She looked embarrassed, but still came over to talk. She said she was sorry about everything, that Ethan was struggling, but it was his own fault. She said I'd always been good to their family and that she wished things had turned out differently. I told her I appreciated that and that I hoped Ethan found what he was looking for. I meant it, not in a bitter way. I genuinely hope he figures out whatever issues led him to blow up a good relationship, just not with me. People keep asking if I'm over it. I don't know if over it is the right phrase. I'm past it. I've moved on. The anger has faded into something closer to indifference. Ethan is someone I used to know, someone I used to love, someone who revealed himself to be different than I thought. That's all. I learned that when someone asks for space to figure things out, they've usually already figured things out and are just trying to engineer a soft landing. I learned that having evidence before a confrontation is crucial. Ethan couldn't gaslight me or rewrite history because I had screenshots. I learned that involving families early, while painful, prevented months of manipulation and false narratives. Most importantly, I learned that I'd rather be alone than with someone who makes me an option instead of a priority. Ethan wanted to keep me on pause while he explored other options. I gave him all the space he wanted, permanent space. I'm Tiffany, 34, single, living in a new apartment, building a new life that doesn't include someone who was willing to destroy our future for someone he barely knew. I didn't get the wedding I was planning, but I also didn't get the marriage that would have inevitably fallen apart the first time things got difficult. That's more than fair.